Mary Beth, we're here at a continuing care retirement community where you can move from independent living, where you're on your own in an apartment, to assisted living, where you get a little bit of help, to nursing home care. What's a place like this cost?
Well, it depends on what part of the country you live and the level of care you receive. But for example, assisted living, where you get help with some personal care items like dressing or bathing, something like that would cost about $3,000 a month on average, but it can vary widely.
Can you give me some examples from around the country?
Sure. A low-cost area like North Dakota might cost about $1,700 a month for assisted living. But an expensive area like New Jersey, that could cost over $5,000 a month.
Well, what about here in the Washington, D.C. area?
Washington tends to be a more expensive area, so you'd be paying at least $4,000 a month for assisted living here.
And nursing home care costs even more.
Much more, because nursing home care involves a lot more care, often 24-hour-a-day monitoring. So on average, nursing home care would cost about $75,000 a year.
And I suppose that varies depending on where you live around the country, too.
Right, a wide range of prices. For example, Shreveport, Louisiana may be about $40,000 a year, and then a high-cost area like San Francisco, nursing home care can cost over $113,000 a year.
Well, Mary Beth, is most long-term care provided in either assisted living facilities or nursing homes?
Well, that's what most people think, but frankly, nobody really knows because so many families care for their loved ones at home. But one statistic suggests that about 20% of long-term care is delivered in nursing homes.
Home care is so prevalent, I think we need to look into that.
Good idea.
So you're telling me that people who need long-term care can be taken care of at home?
Yes, in fact, that's where most people would prefer to receive care if they could.
So they have somebody come into the house?
Well, that's one option. Another possibility is you might receive care in the community, like at an adult daycare facility.
And I suppose that long-term care at home is cheaper than in a nursing home, right?
Well, it depends. If you only need care a few hours a day, a few days a week, it can be more affordable. Homemaker aides charge about $19 an hour, and depending where you live, it could be more or less than that.
But what if you need 24/7 care at home?
Well, then it can get really expensive. In fact, it could be more expensive in the nursing home because a medical aide is going to charge about $39 an hour, and even more in some parts of the country.
$39 an hour, that's more than $900 a day.
That's right. It can be very expensive to receive 24-hour-a-day care at home, as we'll see in my conversation with Jackie Evans. Jackie, you know about long-term care. You've been living the reality of long-term care for the last 10 years or so. Tell me about it.
Now, my husband has had balance issues for a long time. And one night he got up and went downstairs, but he didn't quite make it the whole way down.
What happened?
He fell. It ended up that he had broken collarbone and contusions and bruises all over.
And where did he go from there?
We had to call the ambulance and he went into the hospital.
And how long was he in the hospital?
It was probably a couple of weeks. He was a difficult patient.
And from there, could you take him home and take care of him after that?
There's no way. He needed some rehab. So he went into a rehab center.
And a rehab center is sort of like a nursing home, right?
Very much like a nursing home.
And he didn't want to stay there.
Oh, that was living hell. He hated it. He hated all the people there, and he just wanted to go home and couldn't understand why he couldn't.
And after that, were you able to bring him home?
After that, yes, we did bring him home.
And did you care for him all by yourself, or did you get some help?
No, there's no way I could have done that. I was working 8 hours a day at that point. Mm-hmm. So I really did have to decide what to do.
And what's the process like trying to find somebody to help at home?
It's horrendous. We went through about 5 or 6 different caregivers and finally concluded that you basically get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. And when somebody is making $14 an hour, their heart isn't necessarily in it.
Right. So what was the solution to that? Did you find somebody to come in 24/7?
We contracted with a large agency who does a better screening job. Mm-hmm. And we had somebody come in 24/7, and she worked out very well.
And what does something like that cost?
At the time, it was costing about $6,200 a month.
Wow, $6,000 a month. That's $72,000 a year. That's the price of a nursing home. Did you ever consider that?
Oh, he just never would have made it in a nursing home. He hated the rehab so much that I knew that if I put him into a nursing home, in a very short period of time, he'd be dead.
So it wasn't just a matter of cost, it was a matter of choice.
Yes, and we just decided that if we kept him in his own environment where he could watch his television and pet his cat, he would be very happy.
So who pays for long-term care?
Well, a lot of people assume that Medicare pays for it, but it's generally not the case. Medicare will pay for short-term rehabilitation services in a nursing home, but it doesn't pay for long-term care.
Oh, so it's Medicaid that pays for nursing home bills.
Well, Medicaid is the government's health care program for the poor, and it does pay about half of all nursing home costs in the country. But to qualify for Medicaid, you have to spend down your assets, and in most states, that means spending down to your last $2,000.
Well, I bet that's not very hard to do considering how much long-term care costs.
It is. It is easy to run through a lifetime of savings paying for long-term care, but some people do try to speed it up by giving away money so they can qualify for Medicaid sooner.
Does that work?
Well, in the past, it worked for some people, but it's tougher to do now because of new laws.
What's going on?
Governments can now look back on your finances from the previous 5 years, and if you've given away money at any point during that 5-year period, you would be ineligible for Medicaid for a period of time.
But wait a minute. I've either spent my money or given away. I have long-term care bills. The government won't help. Who pays the bills?
That's the problem. Either you're going to have to go into debt or find somebody, maybe in your family, to pay those bills.
So anything else about Medicaid?
Well, Medicaid's not always that hoped-for solution, because while the government might pay for your long-term care, you'll probably lose the option of where you receive the care.
Well, thanks, Mary Beth. I think now that I know about the cost of long-term care, we've got to figure out how to pay for it.